Welcome to The Growth Project, a podcast brought to you by Synergy Performance. Our mission with this podcast is to explore the topics of growth, performance, and personal development through conversations with individuals pursuing success and by using current events in business and sports to discuss strategies on how you can grow into the individual that you want to be.
Okay, so excited today. We're here with Art Seaver, the founder and CEO of Southern First, and we're here to do another episode of the Growth Project. Art, thank you for making time for us.
Absolutely, Milt. Thanks for asking, and anyway, look forward to this.
So why I was so interested, I've known your family forever. In fact, your family has been a second family for me ever since I was in college. But what I remember, maybe 1999, I'm in Greenville, we're playing church softball, and you would come to the game, and I think we maybe had a rain out or a delay, and instead of going to get something to eat, we go down Lawrence Road to a trailer, and you say, hey, this is my new bank that I'm starting.
That's true.
And I really had no idea kind of what was going on or what your purpose was, but I just remember those early stages. Take me back then to this vision of starting a bank in Greenville.
Right.
And even before then, what made you interested in the banking industry?
Well, I'd given a girl a ring in college, and I thought, her dad would probably really appreciate if I had a job. And there was a bank called C&S Bank. They gave me a job, and in all due respect, that's how I got into banking. There wasn't any grand scheme. I mean, I was a finance major by way of two other majors at Clemson, but I was a finance major. And then, to be honest with you, I ended up loving the banking career. I loved it because you have a chance to enable dreams. You have a chance to impact others. You have a chance to be a trusted advisor. And so through two banks that I worked with, I find myself at 35 years old. I find my current bank being sold to Regions Bank. and the interesting thing is I'm young enough and naive enough to think I can start a bank. And so, I remember those days. I remember playing playing church softball with you guys, but also remember there's a lot of work to start a bank. It takes about a year. You got to raise capital. You got to form a team. And those days, it was all about creating a dream.
Yeah. And so when you were at Regions Bank and then, okay, I want to go do this on my own. And I'm in this business because I want to enable dreams, but I also have this dream of my own. What was that early vision of what this bank was and what it would become?
Well, the interesting thing is this bank has far surpassed dreams. I had admittedly very humble dreams about our company. I just love the privilege of being a banker.
Yeah.
And what I didn't want, and nothing against Regions or any other bank, but I didn't want the privilege of, if you're my client, Milt, and you ask me something, I don't want to have to turn to say, well, let me go see what Birmingham, Alabama says. Let me see what I can get done in Charlotte, or turn to Atlanta. I wanted the privilege of being able to respond and to be your banker. And so that's the basic essence of, I think you have plenty of choices. I think I have to earn that right to be your banker every day. And those are all part of really the cornerstones, if you will, of wanting to start what is now Southern First Bank.
Okay, and so as you're putting this together early on, I think I remember reading you raised like $11 million in capital. And it was
11 and a half.
11 and a half.
It was a lot of money. It was $11.5 million. About 400 people in the Greenville community came together, and it was kind of humbling. A group that had never put a bank together. There were a lot of banks being formed back then, but we raised $11.5 million to get started.
And so I remember somebody said, hey, Greenville didn't need another bank. And so I'm sure you had critics, and I'm sure you had people saying, like, why is he doing this? How at 35 did you achieve buy-in from your original group of investors and 400 people? What was going to make you different?
Well, that's a good point. There were plenty of people who said that. There were at that time probably 30 banks in Greenville. There's still 30 banks in Greenville. So we heard that a great deal. I heard that a great deal. Greenville doesn't need another bank. And so part of it is enough confidence to simply say, you're right. Greenville doesn't need another bank. But what they do need is a bank that we're about to create, one that's focused on the client, can respond, can be competitive, and one in which you can have the same banker indefinitely. And so 19 years later in our company, we now operate in 6 different markets. We've lost one banker in our entire history. So those part of the reasons to starting this company.
Yeah, I love what you said. It's like Greenville doesn't need another bank. They need the bank we're going to create. Mm-hmm. And so where did you come up with this idea of these personal relationships and putting the client first?
Well, part of it was understanding what I enjoyed being as a banker. And what I mean by that is relationship-based, not product-based, not type of loan-based. I enjoyed being able to handle the entire relationship. And so that was some of the foundation of how we would do what we do, that it was going to be a client-first mentality. Every strategic decision that we try to make as a company, we try to make it from where the client sits. And so our entire focus is on serving. That's our very first core value. And so, we intended to be unique. You know, I've been in banking all my life. I can't tell the difference between one bank and another. And so you have to distinguish yourself, and we're going to distinguish this company via relationships and via service.
And what I think I know about this bank, and the reason you haven't lost but one banker in 20 years, is that affects how you treat people internally as well as the way you treat your customers. So you just mentioned one of your first core values of serving others. We just finished a whole month's episode on core values, and our belief is when you kind of know who you are and what you believe and what you stand for, that it provides direction, it provides consistency, and it provides you freedom to operate within who you want to be. We think personally who you were created to be, but also for your bank. And so your core values, how does that affect your decision making at Southern First?
Well, that's a good point. I think, one, they're not my core values. So a long time ago, we kind of came together as a team. We said, well, what are going to be the foundational elements of this company today? And what are they going to be in the future? And if we put these together, they're going to be something that we're going to share with every person who's looking to come on board. They're not, in all due respect, they're not intended to be public.
Yeah.
But they are absolutely intended to be private. There are things that now 235 people in this company have bought into, that these will be the core elements of our company. Number one, serving others. In fact, we think that serving others is an unbelievable privilege. So serving others is our first core value. Number two is cherishing our family culture, meaning 230 people come together every day. It is a family. Serve others, cherish our family culture. The third one is all about competing. In fact, I think people want to come to this company and they know that that we're actually playing to win. We want to serve, but we want to win. We want the privilege of continuing this journey for a long time. So competing with a passion for winning is the third one. And then in that, we finish with 3 others. Celebrate the victories, enjoy the journey, and then honor God with our efforts. So 6 core values: serving, cherish our family culture, competing, celebrating, enjoying, and honoring God. And those are the 6 core elements, core values of Southern First.
Yeah, and so I love, and you can see how that's come to life, right, of how you make decisions, who you hire, how you operate. And I think it's okay to be in it to win it. I mean, I think, as Coach Swinney says, it comes to football, the fun's in the winning. But how you compete and how you honor God through that process. So you're a publicly traded company.
We are a publicly traded company, but we don't take ourselves too seriously.
Yeah.
And so what? We're a public company. We do have to, we have shareholders, we have owners, but most of we also own the company as well. So we think by focusing on the core values, then the shareholders get taken care of as well. If you got a team that knows where they're going, that knows why they're going in that direction, that enjoys competing to win, well, the next thing you know, the numbers begin to take care of themselves. I had a partner this morning. He's got a cowbell now, and so this is all part of celebrating the victories of. We just finished probably one of the best growth quarters in our company's history, and so he's symbolically rings the cowbell, and it's just awesome.
Yeah, but I love going back to these core values. Were at the very beginning, And so no matter whether we have $11.5 million in capital or $1 billion or $2 billion, that continues to define who we are. And I think the benefits of core values being clearly communicated and your people buying into those, that empowers them to make decisions. They don't have to think, what would Art do? They know based on the core values, this is who we are and what we believe. So my decisions have to reflect what we believe. So how do you communicate those core values? How do you continue to build this culture?
Well, I think hopefully we try to communicate these core values daily, weekly, monthly, et cetera. So we have a staff meeting every month, all 230 people. And part of that staff meeting is to focus on 1, 2, 3, or more of these core values. It's about cherishing the culture, the family culture that we have. We celebrate when our team has a new baby.
Yeah.
We mourn with our team when they have a loss in the family. And so there is this family atmosphere that's here, and it's a privilege for me to come to work every day. Yeah. So, your question is, how do we do it? We do it constantly. We do it clearly, and we do it intentionally. Yeah. We're proud of these core values. Yeah. And we're in a financial business, right? Somebody asked me one time, what are you looking for in terms of someone come work here? I said, well, even I was a teller to start with. I could count, but I wouldn't hire me as a teller, right? I mean, I'd rather have somebody who cares than someone who can count. You have someone who cares, we can train everything else. I want someone who has a heart for serving, and they'll be a great banker.
Wow. Yeah, and so Jim Collins wrote the book Good to Great, and the first rule of the thumb is getting the right people on the bus and the wrong people off the bus. How these core values, you just mentioned it there, shaping your decisions about hiring talent, and then what role do you play today in terms of hiring and retaining and recruiting talent?
Well, that's a great question. So I still love being a banker. Sometimes the title on my card means I have to play other roles, and I do find myself playing the role of chief recruiter now, and I love that.
Yeah.
We just went to Atlanta. One of my partners wants to hire a new banker, and I love coming in because I get to share some of the history, but I also get to share a lot of the vision. And recruiting, there are plenty of banks out there. Somebody is going to want to hire the best bankers, there's no doubt. But we want to create a place where you get to see your fingerprints, where you get to be involved in everything. You get to be involved in senior leadership, and you get to be involved in the strategy. But you also make this a pretty small place. We all see each other at least twice a week via video conference or whatever. So I guess it comes back to culture. If we can share that culture, we found that this umbrella called Southern First is a great opportunity for bankers who want to see their fingerprints, have an entrepreneurial spirit, and have that heart to serve.
Yeah, and so that culture is clearly defined. It's very similar to what Coach Swinney and the staff have done at Clemson football. Here's kind of who we are and what we believe. And now we're winning because we're attracting great talent that already buys into the vision and the values there. If we go back to kind of your role in terms of the vision, and you said my initial dreams were probably somewhat humble.
They're very humble.
And so now we see what this bank has become. What's the vision going forward?
Well, I told somebody, we just hired 2 people last week, and I told them, here's what I consider my role to be. There are 230 people now, but 2 people just joined this company. And in all due respect, I see that as a burden, but I see it as a beautiful burden. My job is to make it worth it. 2 people just left great jobs at other companies and chose Southern First. My role is to make it worth it. And I tell people fairly publicly, my job is to make sure that you never have to look for another job. And if you want to, that's a clear indication that I'm not doing my job. And so part of it now is to make sure we're 19 years old. We've grown organically 1 client at a time. We're a $2 billion bank. My job is to communicate that the best days are tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that can we do the same thing even better for the next 19 years? I mean, there are 10 people in this company who run the company better than I can, and that's a great thing. So, if you look at our stock performance, it is far surpassed in terms of bank averages. So there's not an exit strategy that has anything to do with financially. It's a strategy of continuing to get better, to adapt to change, and to continue to serve and impact lives in the communities that we serve.
Yeah, and so we just don't need another bank. We just don't need to grow. We don't need to exit,
Yeah.
right? We need a bank built on the principles and the vision of you and the initial founders.
Yeah.
This is who we are. We're going to serve others,
Right.
and we're going to make it worth their while. And so I used a sermon from Richard Gibbons at our church to kind of be a foundation and fabric for Clemson football after we lost the first national championship against Alabama. And I told our young men and our coaches, in order for us to achieve what we want to achieve, we have to be willing to keep our dreams greater than our memories. And I just heard you say that my job is to make sure it's worth it for the 2 new people and all the other employees we have and our shareholders.
Right.
Continue to be innovative. But one thing I want to bring up, I think it's important that you don't sacrifice what makes you really, really good in trying to become great. What does that mean to you?
Well, that's a good point, because the first 19 years of this company, we made great memories. And I think, so 2 core values: enjoy the journey and celebrate the victories. And we have to win about 1,000 times a month. But if you only look at where you're going to be each quarter, you forget that part of the winning is just hiring that next great person. Yeah. And so there's a great deal of focus on what the next 19 years can be, but it's much more important what's the next 19 minutes are going to be. Someone's going to walk through the door, someone's going to call, someone's going to come online, someone's going to interact with us. We have to be great and make it worthwhile and earn the right to be their banker every day. So you're right, part of that is to communicate that the environment is unbelievable, and we can be everything that we want to be, but it takes effort and it takes focus and it takes a servant heart.
Yeah, and so I love the vision. Thoreau said, success comes to those who are too busy to be looking for it. And so what I just heard you say, Art, how important that vision is, how important our core values are, but what's most important is how do we be great in this moment with who's coming in our door and how are we serving others on a consistent basis.
Yeah.
So with that, how would you define success? What would be your definition of success?
Well, that's a great question, and I might define it a bunch of different ways. Well, one of them, though, is the privilege of impacting others. And so here's what I mean by that. One of the greatest privileges I've ever had as a banker was providing financing for a young lady to buy her first home. 23-year-old young lady who knew my daughter, for her to buy her first home. Financially, for a $2 billion bank, somebody say, well, what's a $125,000 loan mean? I would say it means everything. It means everything because it was a chance to do something and to make an impact and to create an impression and to enable dreams. And so if we do that on a small scale, that's success. The other success is providing an opportunity for people to join our company and to see their fingerprints. I mentioned I had grand dreams of this bank to be about a $170 million bank. Banks are measured in assets after about 7 years. Instead, we were a $500 million bank. So this company far surpassed my dreams long ago, meaning that while I was 35 years old, didn't know what I was doing when we started this bank, there's a lot of similar truths today. I got 235 people, and my door is always open. Yeah. I want to know everybody's ideas and best practices. So part of that success is enabling a team to have the freedom to speak up and to exhibit leadership and to help craft the vision of where this company is going.
Yeah, and so serving others is not only for our clients, it's for the people that work here.
Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah, so Jimmy Orders, who I think was your first chairman of the board, is that right?
He is our chairman.
Oh, he's still the chairman.
That's my boss. You
okay, I apologize. Yeah, I messed that up.
No,
so here's what he said about Art.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, he said, Art is really a special guy. He demonstrates a willingness to share authority and responsibility and allow other people close to him to grow and prosper. And so where did that come from? That's not natural as leaders. It's not natural for a CEO. It's not natural for someone to say, it's not about me. It's more about you?
Well, part of that is being comfortable who you are. I don't need my name in lights. I mean, that's ridiculous. But I do want to create a place where the culture is unbelievably special. And so in that, I mean, I had grand visions of being a $170 million bank. Today we're a $2 billion bank. It isn't about me. But I think it is, so you mentioned I'm driving the bus,
Yeah.
right? In terms of the role that I have, I'm driving the bus, but I should be driving it from the back. Meaning I want to put our best people, I want to put them in a position that enables them to win, that enables them to serve, that enables them to impact lives, and enables them to see the vision of where we're going. So, I mean, I appreciate what Jimmy has shared. I do. I love the team that we have. I love what they do. I love what they create, and I hope I get out of their way and enable them to really to perform. We talk about playmakers. We need playmakers, but I got to enable them to make plays.
So, but I'm gonna keep pressing here a little bit because it's not really natural, especially as a CEO, to think I'm here to serve.
Right.
So how was that developed in you, and why was that so important to you? Where'd you learn to put others first?
Well, you mentioned you hung around my family, so I'll just give my family, I guess, kudos for that.
Yeah.
I was raised well to understand that God's given me certain gifts, but the best part of that gift is giving back. And so, you know, we don't run this company by looking at others. We look at this company about serving. And so we don't try to emulate anyone. We're in an industry that the leadership of this industry is, quite frankly, you don't want to emulate.
Yeah.
But we try to look for best practices, ideas, opportunities to serve whatever from a variety of sources. But you asking me a question about why I do what I do or how I became, you know, the answer is hopefully I just evolve over time to be better tomorrow than I am today, but better not from wanting to be out front, better from creating an environment where others can thrive.
Yeah, and I think that's obvious. That's what you've done. In terms, our job as leaders is to create a culture that maximizes people's strengths and minimizes their weaknesses and lets us buy in to pursue a common goal.
Right.
You know, I think it's interesting as Tim and I walked down, it wasn't someone else that came to greet us. You came down and brought us up. And so another quote I love, it says, the way you do anything is the way you do everything. And so that they pay more attention to what you do than what you say. I think that's what's so powerful about being around you and around this culture. And so let's shift gears a little bit in terms of the energy it takes to kind of be a leader here and a leader at home and a leader in the community. How do you kind of find time? What do you do to take care of yourself so you have the energy capacity to be present for others?
Well, that's a good point because it is harder today than it ever has been. And what I mean by that, there's 230 people. We've got people in 6 different markets. We've grown from Greenville to Columbia to Charleston to Raleigh to Atlanta and now Greensboro. Wow. Great people. And I get the privilege, I'm leaving tomorrow to go see a team in Greensboro and Raleigh. Great people. 19 years ago when we started, we had 14 people in Greenville. It didn't necessarily take that. Well, you can look at it as a burden or you can look at it as a privilege.
Yeah.
And so part of it is understanding that it's a privilege. And I mean, I'm competitive by nature. I mean, I know I play with you younger guys on all that stuff, but I mean, I do. I am very competitive by nature, and that creates an energy. And the other thing is, we talk a lot about one chance, one step. I don't get a mulligan in this. So, you know, you talk about an energy. When you realize that you don't get a second chance at building something, that means every day is critical.
Yeah.
And so I wake up, I mean, when we first started, I had 14 people. That was an unbelievable privilege. Today, I got 230.
Wow.
So you get kind of energized. I mean, people like Shannon in Charleston or Michael in Atlanta or, I mean, it doesn't matter. They're just great people who took a chance. And so they deserve my best, and that kind of gets you energized.
Yeah, and so our framework that we really talk about is in order for others to be their best, then I have to make sure I'm being at my best. So what
That's
are some
true.
things you do to kind of help you be your best, whether that's mentally or physically or spiritually or emotionally or relationally or even your habits and behaviors? What are some things Art Seaver does to be at his best?
Well, that's going to be a loaded question. I think all of those things are critical. One, don't take yourself too seriously.
Yeah.
Relationally, I mean, I'm blessed with great friends. Sometimes because time-wise, maybe I'm not you can get better in all those areas. But you also recognize community-wise, you got to give back. And so I hope I'm always looking for opportunities to serve and give back. Spiritually being grounded, I mean, here's the thing. I think, like when we first started this company, there was a lot of prayer that went behind it. Sally and I felt we were called to do this, to serve, and we want we want to honor God through those efforts. So yes, you got to stay strong physically in terms of exercise, stay strong mentally in terms of keeping up with where things are going, relationally in terms of a team, but outside community, all those things. You're right that you only have 100 cups to kind of keep filled, and there's times where you don't do it well. There's a lot of times I don't do it well. But the intent is there, and hopefully, if you look at it as a whole, hopefully I'm keeping up the way I should.
One recent study, Art said, of CEOs, 250 CEOs, the number one problem they report in their lives was loneliness. And so I loved your first answer was, I have great friends.
I do.
Talk to me about the importance of having people that love you for who you are and believing you. How empowering and encouraging is that as a leader?
Yeah, I'm just Art. I'm still a guy who loved playing church softball. I love tennis. I love golf. I love traveling. I'm just me. There's a fancy title on my card that all that means is responsibility.
Yeah.
I'm still Art, who started the company 19 years ago, and I'm fortunate to have a bunch of friends who I can cut up with and realize that we don't take titles or job functions or anything like that. We're just buddies. We're just friends, and I think that's critical.
Yeah, I think it's so important to kind of keep that as we continue to age, that you maintain these strong relationships, because I think it's a time of life where men, the higher you go, the lonelier it gets, and we're scared to ask for help. We're scared to be vulnerable. But what I've heard consistently throughout, it's been consistent of knowing you, is you know who you are. Mm-hmm. You kind of know what you believe, and you don't take yourself too seriously.
I've got, we'll have about 10 young guys come to my house tonight. One of my best friends and I host this young group. And it's funny, they look at us as 55, 56-year-olds or whatever, and all we're doing is sharing. Yeah. We're sharing the speed bumps that we went over in life, the spiritual journey, and it's cool because they think two 55-year-olds are their friends, which may not be cool from their perspective, but from ours it is. And it's a chance every Monday night to invest in them. And they come to my tailgates at Clemson. They come. It's just beautiful to watch young guys in the roles they're playing, and to get a chance to kind of share, here's everything I did wrong, here's some things I learned in life, and if you can use them, great. And so we built this cool relationship, and I love that.
So what are some of those challenges that you face in building this business, building this bank?
Well, I think there's always their challenge. No one in this industry should have any ego. No one should have any pride. Look, clients have choices every day. You got to earn that every day. There's enough examples in our industry of everything that can go wrong. This is a risk management kind of business. So there are plenty of speed bumps that have occurred over time, but you take your time when you hire the right people, hire for culture, hire in terms of team fit. And so if you take your time in that and explain and say, these are the core values, I want to provide complete disclosure up front. And if you decide that this is a place you want to come be a part of, you will thrive. But I want to make sure we share all that up front, and we've been fortunate.
Okay. And so, but when you face some challenges, roadblocks in 20 years,
Yeah.
Those critics that we talked about, hey, you don't need another bank. Why are you doing this? How did you maintain that belief in terms of your vision? How did you maintain the belief of these core values and have the courage to stay true to those values and not let the financial or the number define your success? How do you stay true to what you believe in those difficult times?
Well, we had difficult times, but we were very confident in terms of where we were going. Difficult in terms of the economy. Banks generally follow what's going on in local economies. Well, so in 08, 9, and 10, the economy was very difficult. There were difficult things happening to good people. So you have a choice. You want to be great relationship bankers in great times, but also in difficult times. Yeah. And so being relational, understanding the serving element, don't take the world too seriously, being confident in terms of who we are and our management of risk and our opportunities for the future. So we don't get too high in great times. We don't get too low in bad times. Staying steady in our emotions and kind of focused on the future.
Yeah, and I think go back to our last podcast, if you're our listener right now, where we said core values, they shouldn't be interchangeable depending on your current economic climate. They shouldn't be interchangeable depending on your culture. They're a foundation that provides that direction and clarity and vision and freedom regardless of the situation.
Yeah. Well, we were mentioning the difficult times in the financial industries of 08, 9, and 10.
Yes.
And one of our core values is enjoy the journey. I love that time. We enjoyed that journey. It brought us closer together as a team. It made us better for tomorrow. So, yeah, core values got to remain consistent. And enjoying the journey was part of that.
So how do you, because I believe there's great freedom when you make the choice to kind of let go of the things I can't control and I choose to focus on what I can. Mm-hmm. How were you aware enough, hey, this is a very difficult time? Talk about the mindset it takes to enjoy that struggle.
Well, I'm not telling you I enjoyed that struggle, Milt. I'm telling you, I mean, there are plenty, you don't enjoy struggles.
Yeah.
But if you're confident enough in your team and in terms of what you do and in terms of how you built, and you don't take yourself too seriously anyway. You don't worry about what others say about you.
Yeah.
Then it was okay. We came together as a team and we're very focused on where we were going. And I mean, if you look back at that time, we were a great financial institution even in difficult times. Yeah. And so we've always performed well. It was just, I mean, it was difficult, but you still kind of come together as a team.
Yeah, so the mindset, and our listeners will hear us, in Proverbs it says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Mm-hmm. So I heard you say, yeah, these were difficult times, but as I think about those times differently, it's going to make us better.
Absolutely.
It's going to we're going to have a stronger culture. We're going to come together, and we're going to stay true to what we believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think some of the lessons learned is always coming back to those core values. I mean, you realizing that serving was everything. You understand that the culture, the family culture you have, you should cherish it. Yeah. You understand you still compete to win. Our clients deserve that. They deserve our very best. And then enjoying the journey, celebrating the victories, and honoring God. I mean, yeah, you come back to those same core values.
Yeah, I love how those have crafted and been a benchmark and a staple for Southern First. I guess the original name was Greenville First.
Right.
Yeah. What made you change the name? How'd you kind of change the vision?
A partner named Justin in Columbia, as we expanded, we were smart enough to realize that probably that name wasn't going to be relevant anymore. So we kept the same logo, just changed Greenville to Southern. We've been Southern First ever since.
Okay. So if we go back to then, you said your main role was to kind of tell the story and sell the vision, to get the right people on the bus, serve others. What would be your advice in terms to leaders out there? What do you think are some characteristics and hallmarks of great leaders?
Great question. Characteristics of great leaders. I would say being bold enough to have their own vision. Our industry is a lot of me too. We talk at a herd mentality. There's a lot of financial institutions that do things because that's the way financial institutions do them. I think having a bold vision is critical. Number two, in terms of great leadership, be humble, be honest, and be transparent. We talk in our company now in terms of where we're trying to go as a company. Stay humble, but stay hungry. And I think that's critical. So great leadership, one, be bold in their vision. Number two, honesty, transparency. I think being vulnerable too. Being vulnerable in terms of recognizing you don't know everything. Being vulnerable to where you ask for help. Recognizing that a group of 235 people probably going to make a better decision than one person. So those are quick answers, at least, to what I think.
Those are great answers.
Great leadership is.
So being willing to ask for help. We talked about kind of keeping our dreams greater than our memories. I heard you say earlier for us to continue to be innovative,
right,
without compromising what we believe. That kind of provides great discipline to our strategy. This is who we are and what we believe, and these are how we make our decisions. How do you as a leader, how do you as a man, how do you as a husband, as a father, a soon-to-be grandfather?
Soon to be.
Yeah, congratulations,
Thank
by the
you.
way.
Thank you.
What do you do to get better? You said, I'm trying to become a better person, a better leader. How do you try to grow?
Great question. I think one is a mindset and being intentional about it. So read things that are not just about your industry. Meet people who you admire. Ask what they I guess, watch people, listen to people. Don't be afraid to ask questions. In other words, I've learned things from people in our company. I learned things from Ellen, who sits right outside, who has the greatest gift of hospitality and care in the world. I learn from her every day.
Wow.
I learned from Lynn Howell in Charleston. I learned from JT in Raleigh. But I also learned from Eddie and David and Patrick and Sally. And so staying humble is one of the ways to make sure that you're open to what others can tell you about yourself, but also you can gain wisdom that can make you better in terms of your role for the future.
Wow, that is so true and so valuable, and so that natural curiosity and learning from everybody and not having the ego to think I have it figured
Right.
out, but kind of what I hear is a true humility in sense of here are my strengths. And I don't hear you minimizing your gifts. I hear you taking ownership. These are the gifts that I have, and this is what I'm really good at, but I don't have it all figured out. How can I incorporate others
Right.
and learn from others, whoever they may be, and appreciate the impact they have in my life?
Yeah, I hope that's always the case.
So if we go back to this leadership, having a bold vision at 35 years old, I have no money. You said I have this bold vision
Right.
that maybe we would say now wasn't bold enough, right? But I'll let you comment on that.
No, I'm like, what are you talking about? Wasn't bold enough.
Well, 170 million in
I was
in how many
35. I was 35 years old, 2 kids, no money, and I want to start a bank, and I got to have $11.5 million to do it.
Yeah.
So, darn, Milt, that's
years?
pretty.
That
that's
is
bold,
pretty good. I
right?
mean, I'm just talking about where we sit now.
Yeah. We have huge visions now, but the vision is one day at a time.
Yeah, success comes to those who are too busy to be looking for it.
Maybe.
And you earn it every day. What would your advice be to someone who's 35 years old, they don't have any money, they have a bold vision?
Yeah.
What would your advice be to them today?
Stay bold.
Yeah.
And then share your vision. Because what you're going to discover, you mentioned Jimmy Orders.
Yeah.
I shared that with Jimmy. Jimmy said he wanted to be a part of it. So did Ann, so did Dave, so did T, so did Leighton, so did Bill, so did Mark, so did Andy, so did Fred. I mean, share it.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, that vision starts to catch fire. People go, I want to be a part of that. So we've never been shy about sharing this vision. And to share it boldly. We're not going to do things just because that's the way banking has always been done. And so we've always crafted a little bit of a different vision.
Yeah.
And therefore, we've been fortunate in terms of the success for the first 19 years, and we're going to stay bold for the next 19 years.
And one of the things you mentioned earlier on Sally, your wife, that I know so many men, so many leaders, they try to compartmentalize and keep their wives separate of what's going on. But early on, I heard you say a partner in this vision,
Right.
a partner in prayer.
Right.
Why has it been so important for her to be such a valuable and the most important team member?
Well, so we are. I mean, she's my wife, but she's my best friend. She's my partner, right? She was the first one I shared this vision with. And I'll be honest with you, when I shared it with her, there was a part of me, I mean, there's always a skeptic, will this work out? So there was a part of me, I didn't know which way she would react. I said, Sally, I want to think about starting this. What do you think? Now, as a man, I mean, her words at that moment are the only reason I'm sitting here today.
Wow.
Right? If she expressed caution or concern or lack of confidence, I mean, I was a little bit blown away.
What'd she say?
You would be awesome. You could create something that people would love.
Wow.
I was like, well, darn, I guess we got to do this now.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm sitting here.
Man, that is so powerful. I don't think we can ever underestimate the power of believing in someone else.
Oh, yeah.
Or
yeah, she's been an unbelievable cheerleader.
to have somebody that loves you like she loves you, immediately say, hey, I believe in you.
Right.
I believe you have what it takes. I think that's our greatest challenge as husbands and wives and dads and leaders is to let those people that we believe in them
Right.
and believe they have what it takes. And with that confidence, look at the energy that it gave you to go create and pursue your vision.
Right.
So thanks for sharing that story.
Yeah, absolutely.
If we go back to now, 35 years old, 55 now, a grandfather, what would you tell yourself back then at 35?
Great question. What would I tell myself? I think I would remind myself of certain things. Because there are a lot of people who, every time we go to a new market or hire a new banker, they ask one question first. When are you going to sell the bank? And so there's always these people who think there's some exit strategy about where we are. And so, one of the things I would remind myself is enjoy the journey, as in every day. And the other thing I do is I would build deeper relationships with our team. And so sometime when I mentioned that there are 230 people, see, these are 230 very unique. They have their own stories. They have their own gifts. They have their own. We've got a young lady down the hall who's expecting her first child, and she wants to share it she's sharing that joy with our entire family. So you learn some of the struggles, and you become a friend. You some of the concerns, and I've seen our team pray over each other. I've seen our team laugh with each other. So I might have recorded these even more. I go back and our team laughs at me. I mean, I've got plenty of things to laugh at, and there are plenty of bad things in terms of moments maybe that I've had, but now they're memories.
Yeah.
We laugh about cleaning ice off of parkways that are frozen, or blowing leaves off the front door, there's certain things about making.
Wait, stop right there, because people don't get what you're talking about there.
Well,
right? Who was cleaning the ice and who was blowing the leaves?
That's just because your brother-in-law shared a bad part of that.
But I think it's important.
It's our role.
Yeah.
Right, you two came in today, and it's like coming to our house.
Yeah.
If there's ice on the walkway, somebody's got to be responsible for cleaning it up.
And so you and the leadership team.
And that's us. It starts with me.
Yeah.
Same thing in terms of the walkway. It's like you're coming to our house, right?
Yeah.
So it needs to look a certain way. It's a privilege to have somebody come. It's an honor to have somebody come. So part of the leadership, with a greater title doesn't come more privileges. With a greater title comes greater responsibilities to serve.
Wow. What a different mindset in today's world that it's not about us. It's a privilege to serve.
Oh, it is.
And we're honored to have people walk in the door.
Absolutely.
And we're going to treat them like family, and we're going to love with them. We're going to share with them. We're going to. What I love about this bank is, as we're building client streams, I've been part of that. You
Right.
guys have been a partner of mine.
Thank you. Thank you, Milt.
We wouldn't be where we would
Thank
be
you.
without you. That you're not only empowering, enabling me to pursue my dreams and others, but also internally. That we're allowing people with vision and purpose and dreams, that we're empowering them.
Right.
And we're setting a standard because they're watching what we do more so than what we say. And I want our listeners to understand the title that you have that's on your card is not a privilege.
Right.
It's a opportunity to serve
Yeah.
at a greater level.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
It speaks. I mean, it doesn't mean more privilege. It means more responsibilities, and primarily in terms of service.
Okay. So we're about to wrap up. We kind of end with some rapid fire questions here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, if you're good with that. And so the most impactful book you've ever read is?
Let me come back to that, because I think there's one I just read that I might. You mentioned Good to Great. That's one that's from a business perspective. Let me come back to
I'll
one
let
real
you
quick on
okay.
that one.
Okay. My greatest strength is?
I think vision and hopefully caring.
My greatest area for improvement is?
Patience.
Okay. And the one characteristic I look for in my colleagues, employees, clients, the one characteristic, you mentioned it earlier. So.
Yeah, I did. I'd go back to the same thing. When I mentioned to you that it's important, anybody can count, I'm looking for people who care.
Yeah.
So servant heart is absolutely critical.
And there's no coincidence that lines up with your first core value.
Well, that's true.
That we're here to serve.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
Oh, good point.
And the power of a team when we know who we are and what we believe, and,
Yeah.
and they work together.
Right.
Okay, leadership is all about?
So it sounds repetitive, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Leadership is all about the responsibility to serve.
Yeah. All right, this has been. Well, you got to come back to the book. I told you I'd come back to
I'll
it.
shoot you. Let me shoot you. Let me shoot you a list of 10.
Yeah.
All right. So there's a lot of times where I can go get my iPad. I'll give you 6 of them. So I might give that to you later if
That'd
you
be
don't
great.
mind.
That'd be great. Any final thoughts or comments?
No, I thank you. So there's a lot of times where we just do what we do,
Yeah.
and that's intentional. I mean, we just we work hard and we care, and we don't do it for. We're not looking for fame. We're not looking for our name and lights. It is a privilege to serve, and I've enjoyed. The other thing is getting the privilege of watching our clients and friends enable their dreams. So, Milt, to watch you and to watch what you do and to watch how you have impacted others, that's part of the privilege that we have. And so I congratulate you in that regard. And now the ability, hopefully, to share ideas that can help impact others through this podcast.
Well, absolutely. Well, you've been a huge part of my life, and in many ways, a lot of love and prayer and support from you and your family, and I appreciate that confidence.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate you just sharing. It's been so neat to kind of learn more about you and your vision,
Right.
and excited to see where life continues to go. Thank you so much for taking
Absolutely.
the time.
Thank you, Milt.
Okay.
Appreciate
thank
it,
you.
buddy.
Yes, sir.
If you're interested in learning more about what we do, visit our website at synergyperformancesc.com. Join us next time for more relevant topics on The Growth Project.